Sold electronics fan, and I have actually back on this radio. I didn't really plan on it, but I didn't entirely finish the radio because I didn't create a back for it. I was debating about whether I was going to do that or not. And I've pondered quite a bit about whether or not I was going to, or what I was going to make it out of. And this is cardboard, and you can see how the corners are broken. So, I mean, obviously these radios have been around a long time, and it's not surprising that the backs would get damaged, but this is just a, and I actually tried to find a cardboard, a thick cardboard that I could make this out of. And I don't know, I just don't know where I would look to find it. I've looked at a hobby store, Walmart, different places, and I just couldn't find anything. So what I did was I measured from the edge of this to the edge of this, and it's about 1/8 of an inch. So, in fact, well, I used a different measuring tool, and it said 9/64, so it's a 64th more than 1/8, or thereabouts. Anyway, so I wasn't sure how thick this was supposed to be. I think, though, that my best shot is going to be 1/8 inch masonite. And they actually make a dark brown masonite, and what I didn't know is they also make a lighter colored masonite, pressed board, whatever you want to call it. And I actually got the lighter color material because, well, this is light colored, and I thought, well, what the heck. And if I want to, I can stain it to make it look more like that. I'm still not sure what I'm going to do there, but what I want to do, and what I'm going to try to do, is lay this on its back, and now I noticed one of the things I noticed here is there's got this part that drops down here, because this goes down and comes up and then over. Well, this goes straight across. So what I'm going to try to do is I'm going to try to give myself, but you do notice that it comes out here, I'm going to try to give myself some kind of an outline using paper, and see if I can at least get a starting point. So I'm trying to be very gentle because, well, this is Bakelite under here, and it's not well, let's just say that the paint can come off a lot easier than you want it to. And I did sand this quite a bit when I was repairing it, but I don't trust it. It's not too hard to scratch one of these, so I'm trying to be very careful and very nice about it. Alright, so what I've got now is a piece that's larger than it's supposed to be. So, let me see. Can we come up with, this is about 1/8. Okay. Alright, so I want to, so first of all, let's see. Alright. Slide you out of the way if you want. Maybe we'll put you over here instead. That's what I'll do. I got this. Alright, now Let's see what we can do. I don't know. One of these days I'm going to rig up an overhead camera. I'm hoping to, anyway. But, well, alright. You can't really see the lines that I've drawn. And for the bottom part here, what I want to do is, so I want to go along the bottom line here. So that's going to be, whoops, back here you. And then you. Alright, so that's the starting point. And, as I recall, this shape right here was part of the design. Now the top, of course, let's go back here. The top has some little bumps up, which are not in the, not on the back, because it's only on the outside, not the inside. There. So this is my starting point. So the next thing I want to do, I know this is an eighth, and this ruler has a side that's marked in eighths, makes it easy. So what I'm going to try to do is mark this, go down there. Well, I quickly shut you off there for a minute because I was going to sneeze in your ear and I didn't want to do that. So I decided it was better to shut the camera off, sneeze, and then come back. All right. How close to this I needed to be in order to have enough room to get the little tabs, well, the little ears that go on the little ears that go into this. I didn't get those. This was made too small, unfortunately, originally, and it didn't work out very well for me. Now, all right, so I think we still want to go there, an eighth apart. So now, let's see. So I think there we go. All right. Let's see. So the other problem I'm going to run into is I have no dimensions, none, for the holes. If you look, you've got a vent hole up here, and I can get sort of an idea. If you look at the bottom of this, there's a piece that comes out and then comes up. And I can just see it right there. So I can use that as a reference point and maybe even come up with what do I want to say? A way to use this as a gauge. So that's going to tell me, and I might be able to use this so that, you know, maybe so much of an inch equals something larger. What can I measure? Ah, here's what I could do. And this would probably be more accurate. Alright. That would be 6 and 5/32 roughly. Alright, that's going to be fun. May have to go digital. Alright, so there's that. So what does this give me? I know this is 13 inches or something. 14 1/8 is what we're going to call that. 14 1/8. Joy. Alright, so it's not quite... It would have been so nice if this were double this, if this were double that. That'd be so easy. It's not. Can I go this way? So 7 and not quite 5/8. So, well, if I were going to be really precise, that's a 32nd under half. I think. Come on. No, that's under 5/8. It's about a 32nd less than 5/8. So 19/32. So the height is 19 seconds, and then what was that, 7? I just measured that and I forgot. Alright, 7. Alright, so 7 and 19, so that's... So let's see what... I'm trying to come up with something that's not so difficult, that's not going to involve a lot of math. Alright, so... Yeah. And... so that would be 3 3/4. No matter how I go at it, it's not easy. So 3 3/4 would be 7 1/2. I don't want to have to do this 2 or 3 times. So now, let's go there. It's extremely close. Let's see, can we see? Get in there. It's very close. The other nice thing about this is that if I do I want to find the hole I want to drill. Let me think. 7 1/2, 7 5/8. So if I double that dimension, the dimensions, that's this entire height. It's only 1/8 of an inch off. So what that leads me to believe is that if I were to double the dimensions from here, because if you're talking, let's think about this a little bit. All right. So this dimension is from here to here. This is very close to 7 5/8. If you double this, it's 7 1/2. So the difference between doubling this and this is just shy of 1/8 of an inch. It's think brain 7/32, no, 1/8. Oh, I'm too tired to think about that. All right. So anyway, so what I've got here, if I measure this, that's 1/2 inch. So, would it be so terrible if I were to double this and call this 1 inch? And this is also 1/2 inch. So if I made this 1 inch and this 1 inch, I think we'd be fine there. And then here, we're talking 3 3/8. So if I were to double 3 3/8, that would be, 6 6/8, or 6 3/4. So 6 3/4 would be here. 3/4, yes. I think that would be fine. And then down here, that is also 1/2 inch. So if I double this and made this 1 inch, I don't think that would hurt anything, because, and the cutout down here is there for 2 reasons. Number one, to get the power cord out, and this is the external antenna right here, which I don't have a block for that, but if, say, somebody down the road wanted to put a block in there and found one of those connectors, having an 1 inch clearance here would be great. So it allows more ventilation. That block would fit good. And this is going to be roughly 1 inch. So if I call it 2 inches, that's pretty close. Yeah. So if I measure this, it comes out somewhere around 1 inch. If I go here and I go 2 inches, that puts it almost exactly where this cutout goes, and then this would be 8 inches. Well, let's see how that looks, because we're going to go from there to there. Interesting. Yeah, I think that would work. Is it going to be exactly what this is? Nope. Is it going to work? Yep. So what I need to do is take what I figured out and draw it on here. And then I can use those dimensions. So what I'm going to do, though, is I'm going to make, well, I'm going to draw in here what I need. Then what do I call that? 6 3/4. All right, so 6 3/4. Let's see. 6 3/4. So the middle would be, well, 3 3/8. But I gotta go from here. I gotta go from this edge to this edge. So let's see. That's 1 3/4. If I double that, it'd be 2 1/2. Let's call that 2 1/2. And 2 1/2. And what does this give me? Oh man. Alright. This tells me that I'm going to be okay. So basically when I measure this, that's 1 3/4. So if I double that, I come up with 2 1/2. So I put 2 1/2 here, 2 1/2 here. Now when I measure between this line and this line, I get 6 3/4, which is what I figured out from here. So that's dead on. I mean, that's just, this is working better than I thought. Let's see. So now I say I want 1 inch here, and 1 inch here. And I wonder if I can come up with something round. And so I want to go down 1 inch, and down 1 inch. Well, anyway, what I think I have to do is come up with something a little bit smaller than that. I don't know where I'm going to find it, but I gotta have something, I would think. Maybe a washer or something. But so anyway, but that's basically what I'm looking at, and once I find something that will work for this, I'm going to erase this, a lot of this. I think this curve could work well for this. So when I come back, I'm hoping I will have the cutout piece, and hoping that it actually works. Yeah, I mean, the dimensions here, I'm pretty happy with overall. I know I have to modify stuff a little bit, but not too bad. So I think we're good. Alright, I'll be back. Alright, well, I'm back. I finished building this. I'll show you this in a minute. I found an old radio knob that was just the right size for this. And as it turns out, the knob was 1 inch in diameter. I recently bought one of these, and it goes up to 1 inch. These are, I wish I'd bought one of these a long time ago, because this was extremely handy in working with this, but in other projects I've used this for, it's just been so helpful, and it drills. I'm not sure if Milwaukee is the top of the line, but this seems to do a very good job. It's a lot nicer using something like this than going with one size drill bit and then going the next and next and next. This doesn't seem to jam, it doesn't seem to cause problems, doesn't try to yank the metal out of your hands. This works really well. So, and it worked great on this, on the wood back that I made for this. So that's just, oh, the other thing is, because paper is so flexible and moves around so much, I worried about doing these holes using this. If I had a, say, a leather working punch of the right size to punch these holes out, where I could actually see how they line up, I might have tried to use this. But in the end I decided that wasn't a good idea. So what I did, let me see if I can zoom you in there a little bit. Let's see here. Throw some more light on that. Alright. And I'll just flip it up on your back a little bit more. Alright, let's see. We're going to, I'll show you. So here's what I did, and it worked pretty well for the most part. I put this alongside the hole, so I could get a center line there, and I put it alongside the hole this way to get a center line there. And it worked well for 3 of them. This hole came up a little bit off, but it actually worked out okay because the little pieces that go in there are thin enough that they fit through the hole just fine, even though it's not lined up perfectly. So, so here's what it looks like in place. And what I did to get this to fit like this, I actually used, it's a, I think it's made for woodworking. One side is a, I guess you'd call it a rasp, but it's a very coarse file, and that was great for trimming down areas where I had to cut more material. There was enough material that I wanted to trim that I didn't want to use a regular file because it would take too long. But there wasn't enough material that I dared use a saw. I mean, I did trim some of this with a saw to get it close, but then ultimately I wound up using a file that would rasp to shape it and get it to fit properly. So this is the one that didn't quite line up as well as I wanted it to, but as you can see, that works. And you can see it's cockeyed a little bit, but everything else seems to fit just fine. And if I really had to, I could make this hole a little bit larger, but I don't think I'm going to have to. So there it is. Now, I think I mentioned this before. I'm probably going to be repeating myself. It's been a few days since I recorded the first part of this, but if you look at this, obviously it's a different color. So, oh, and let me go back to my original desire was to find a heavy-duty cardboard like this, and finding anything like that was problematic. And one of the reasons why I wanted to do that was I knew I could probably find, if I could find something like this, it would probably be thinner than this. As I think I mentioned before, when you look on the corners are shot. There's not much material here. So going with masonite was a great idea for that reason. Plus drilling holes in cardboard, that could be a problem because cardboard doesn't necessarily behave all that well. This drilled perfectly. It worked nicely. I'm very happy with how that worked for me. So the last thing was the debate about, well, should I stain this? Should I try to make it look more like this? If I were to stain this, you would see the masonite pattern in this, and it wouldn't look exactly like this. Is it a big issue? No. But the other thing, and by the way, I bought a lighter color. In fact, I didn't even know they made a lighter colored masonite. I found this by surprise. I was like, oh, I didn't know that. I have another project where I want a lighter color masonite material. So I decided to go with this as a 2x4 sheet, and so I was going to cut part of what I needed out of one end of it, and then the other piece that I need, I still have material left over to to make that with. So there's a couple of ways I could go. If I could find a brown color that was similar to this, then I could just spray paint this. Or like I said, I could stain it. I don't think I'm going to do either one. I mean, this is a light colored radio, having a light colored back. I mean, you're not going to see this all the time. Most of the time, you're going to be looking at the front of the radio, not the back of it. I think it looks fine like this. I'm glad I went ahead and made this, and ultimately I think it will be a much better looking, it'll make my project look better. So anyway, so there it is. It's complete. It's just, will now have a back on it. Somebody asked about that. I was toying with the idea, and I actually bought, let me just look under here. I actually bought this stuff, Artist Canvas Panel, but I don't think it's thin enough. Let me just see. So this is going to go back, I'm pretty sure. All right, fine, be that way. All right, let's see. Does this go? Yeah, it goes. It might work. It might have worked. But I chose not to go that route because I really thought, come on, off. There we go. Because I really thought that there's a possibility that this might not work. You know, I expected that I would have to cut this, then this covering would come off. I don't know what's supporting this. It seems fairly sturdy, but I don't know what it is. And in the end, maybe it's masonite. I don't know. Cotton, medium grain. Yeah, it doesn't tell you what the actual internals are. So I bought that, and then I had second thoughts. So I thought, well, and I went looking, and I found H-inch thick masonite. And like I said, when I went there, I found this nice light-colored masonite. So in the end, I think it worked out better. That's going back. So anyway, where was I headed? Oh, if somebody buys this radio and they really don't like the fact that it's light-colored, they have the same options I do. They can stain it, they can paint it. And the other thing is finding a color that would mimic this. It's not easy. I mean, you probably have to mix your own custom color. And I definitely am not going to go through all that kind of grief. So, I'm wrapping up here. I have got it back on this now. I'm glad I did it. And I'm really happy with how it came out. I am, just for those who are thinking about doing stuff like this, the only tool I had that a lot of people might not is that little woodworking file. And I haven't looked for one of those. I have a couple of them. I don't know where I found them somewhere. And they have been so helpful over the years. So if you don't have one, a really coarse file is, when you're doing woodworking kind of stuff, can be very helpful. Like I said, one side is really coarse. It's got kind of a scalloped finish on it. And the other side looks like a normal file, but it's fairly coarse. So both of them are really good for fitting things like this, and it really enabled me to get this done and get it sized just right. You know, that one person who sent me the comment, didn't this hat used to have a back on it? It kind of nudged me a little bit to finish this project. Like I said, I spent so much time on this. I really wanted to go on to something else for a little bit, which I did. And but now this is done. Makes me very happy. I think this definitely adds to the look of this thing. Ultimately, when I go to show pictures of this whole thing, who knows? Maybe it'll make somebody more interested in buying it. Don't know. But in any case, it's done. I'm happy, and I'm wrapping it up. All right, I couldn't help myself. I got this all together, and I'm test playing it. And this is about noon here, which is not the ideal time for reception. This is what I was looking for. But right now, this is on right around 5900 or 590 rather. And well, let me show you this all assembled as I'm trying to get better signal here. There it is. All the clips are in place. It's secure. It's working, or it should. So let's see what else we can get here.
We have to react right now to what we saw last night. Tucker Carlson has.
This is 810 on Albany Station, about an hour away from here. 45 minutes, something like that.
Security cameras all
nice
over.
And clean. This little radio works very well.
The Niners with Tom Brady would absolutely be the overwhelming favorite in the NFC. Not even in
That's
Philly's second. But they could lose
the 590. A lot of radios can't get 810. I don't know what that is. A little station there. Noise there. The station there. I don't know what that one is either.
A lie detector. I said, dude, you gotta throw the lie about his house burning down in there too. I said, think of something like he set the machine on fire.
That's our local station.
Well done, Producer Jim.
Oh, well, kind of a station. That's above 1370, which a lot of my radios can't get. No, that's pretty much it. So, yeah, this radio is working very well. I'm very happy. Now it's all done. The back, it's got a brand new back. It's performing well. At night, there will be 2 or 3 stations that you can get above 1370 around here. And then you might pick up more stations in between here and here. Again, pick them up better. 590 actually came in pretty good. Like I said, a lot of my radios can't even get 590. Forget about even hearing anything from it. It's a bit noisy, but like I said, these older radios, they just don't have the same. A lot of them, I say that, not all of them. Some of the newer, higher quality radios definitely do very well. But these older radios, this is what? 1946, yes. So this radio is 1946 vintage, and it's doing very well. I'm very surprised, actually, that this thing does as well as it does. And this is not a high-end radio, but like I said, it's got the extra RF amplifier stage at the beginning of the chain. So it does work really well. So now I really am going to wrap it up here. And this is it. This is the last time you'll see this radio here on my channel, because I am done with this. Everything's fixed. It's working beautifully. I don't know if any of you remember how poorly it was performing before I put that replacement tube in it. And it was receiving fairly well, but the output was not good. But now we're getting 810 really well, nice and clean, nice and strong. Didn't have that before. Even our local station was, not so great. So yeah, so it's working. It's all set, and turn off that. Don't need it anymore. I have a tendency to forget and leave things on. Don't want to do that. So anyway, this is it. I'm going to wrap up here, and I really appreciate anyone who watched up to this point. and hopefully you'll be with me on my next video. Thanks.